Hockey Nation fans, welcome to the special edition between Michael Devellano and Coach Frenchy for Hockey Nation live show. Michael, welcome to somewhere in California again.
Yep, we're in Laguna Woods, California.
Here we go. I'm still in North Miami Beach in Florida. Today we are doing a special edition for because the final Stanley Cup start in about 60 minutes. The puck will be dropped between the Dallas Star and the Tampa Bay Lightnings. And we are coming here for a couple of information, the stat, everything, and there's some update the last minute, and also the prediction of Michael to see who is thinking what is going to go to that final. Finally, we are over 5 weeks the NHL and maybe 6 weeks now. And start tonight. Nobody really predict Dallas to be there. The
Nope,
last 3 years, if you remember, it's always been a Western Conference team, very different what the people was thinking. Like you remember, Vegas first year make the final.
true.
Nobody expect them. Then last year, who said St. Louis Blues with a very bad start season, and then I think it was in January. There was maybe
Last.
the
They were last.
turn around, come back to make the final,
Uh,
and then Star have a really bad month of February, and finally, with hockey, no hockey for a couple of months, have an opportunity to go on the round robin, and then finally go through, and then surprise everybody, make the finals Stanley Cup. But now they face to another great team, Tampa Lightnings, and see what happened there. Do you have any information, anything you have right now before I jump a couple of things?
I don't think I have any news per se. I don't think I have any insights,
Okay.
but
Um,
it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, we'll get into it.
yep. First of all, they played two times during the season last season. Like West East play only two games during the year. Surprise everybody. Two-game win by Dallas, two and OT, 3-2 and 4-2.
Hmm,
So that's pretty
that's
unique.
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting to see that. Now, if we look about the route, the road of both teams during the round robin and also during the playoff, Dallas has winning 4-2 against Calgary, 4-3 against Colorado, and 4-1 against Vegas for a 12 win and 6 loss. This is not including the round robin, so I don't want to including both of them. And then Tampa have a better way where 4-1 against Columbus, 4-1 against Boston, and 4-2 against Islanders for a 12 win versus 4 loss for um, Tampa. All game was go by the goaltender. We're going to go about position if you don't mind to see
Yep.
what's going on with the goaltending and also their stats. Of course, for Tampa, who only one goalie, right?
I mean, Vasilevsky and Kudobin. That's it. I think
Yeah.
it's one goal each side. Bishop, is he still out? I assume. Even if he came back, you have no faith in that.
Yes.
Curtis McElhenney is not going to get a sniff. I
And then
mean, you go
for
all,
Tampa, Alexi has like 1.82, 0.93 during the playoffs so
Jesus,
far. Really, he's a part of
stellar.
the best four players, I think, for Tampa. So, he have a great, solid performance all playoffs. I think he's really the only goalie. By the way, he's the only goalie have all the minutes for one team.
Oh,
Anybody else
interesting.
use backup? We have a second, third goalie. Where could have been
Kudobin.
have 2.62, 0.92.1. But I want to remind you this: during against Vegas, he saved 153 on the 161 shot for
Yeah, the volume of
0.5.
shots against him has been so high. I mean, sometimes goalies, as you know, they get into a groove with a lot of shots, especially if they're straight on, right? So it's going to be I don't know. I think what's going to be interesting there is if Tampa gets 40 shots on this guy, are they the same quality of shots as Vegas? Because I tend to think they move the puck east west a lot better and they get shots from scoring areas because they dart in and out. But that's going to be the real test. Whereas Vegas, I think what we've seen is very brute force, right?
So I believe, honestly, I give an advantage for Tampa
Tampa. I
on
would
the
agree with you.
goaltender. Whatever
For sure.
could have been have an amazing last 8, 9 game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Honestly, I think it will be the right now is this on the defensive side now. Two team use right now 6, 7 defensemen. Um, Tampa honestly is probably the best defenseman, not only for the playoff. I think he's the top best defenseman in NHL. Um, Edmund, you cannot ask him more for you cannot ask him more for defenseman. You have 9 goals already, 6 assists, 15 points.
But
Um,
then the other side, you got Hezekiah.
Yes. So he
Heskinen.
play
His name I
about
can't pronounce.
26, 41 second, 26 minute, 20 41 second per game. He's following by, then after that, McDonough, then you have Sergachev, then you
Yep.
have Shattenkirk, then after that, you have Bogosian, then after that, you have a Lukshin,
He's
um,
still got Coburn somewhere in the mix.
Cobra number 8 right now. So
Jeez.
you know what I mean? Like you really believe on 7 great defensemen. Still, Edmund play about 3 to 6 minutes more to
Right?
anybody
Wow.
else. So that gives you an idea how this. On the flip side, Dallas play with really 4D. Right. That's what they are
True.
really about this. You know,
True.
Oleksiak, but honestly, Iskanen is the number one. He have 22 points so far, five goals, 17 assists. Then followed by Klemberg with 16 points, maybe 15, 16. And then you have Lindell, who I really believe is the third defenseman, what nobody talk a lot, and many other team, right? He's really play solid for Dallas. Then number 4, Oleksiak. So
He's been a complete surprise to me.
yes,
And I'm trying to think of when he was drafted. He's a 92 birth year, I believe.
this area I think so.
He
91, 92 maybe.
so he's like 27, 28.
Yeah,
He's always been big, which is the thing. Was known as a decent skater, but he looks way more offensive than I think any of us understood. Like he's got a lot of skill.
I think he bring a lot of solid minutes for Dallas. Honestly,
Absolutely.
he's a 92. He's 6'7".
He's like, not many guys are that big and can play that like with that much skill and skating. Like he's pretty surprising. It took a long time to get there. Like he's bounced around a lot, but
At that at that size, usually
so
those
good.
defensemen take a little
Yeah,
bit
absolutely.
longer. I'm not saying they are all like this, but I
I
think they
agree.
are a little bit
Yep.
take longer about that one over there. He was,
Yep.
one number one, draft 14 in 2011.
Yep.
So
9 years ago.
yeah, and then finalize this core of defensemen. I think Sekera play a little bit what Mokosian play for another side. You know what I mean? Like Luke
Yep.
Ching, they are like number
Veteran
5.
guy.
And
Yep.
then you have between John and Ensley and
Yeah.
Fidden, but Fidden was hurt for the last 5, 6 games. So that's really now. Be honest with you, I have to give advantage again for
Tampa.
Dallas, for Tampa. Uh,
Yeah.
More depth.
Depth for sure.
I think they have,
Um,
you know,
even I mean, if you look at the top four though, that play that probably 80% of the minutes between the two, then it's pretty even. Um, Hezekiah has shown that he's an elite defenseman. He's a phenomenal skater. Nobody's as big as Hedman. Like Hedman's 6'6", but you've got a big defenseman in Oleksiak, but he's not in the same league. I mean,
one
so
thing we have to
the top four is
apologize.
interesting.
I have to apologize. I completely forgot Eric Cernak.
Oh,
I
for
think,
Tampa, like,
yeah,
geez, like another great defenseman. He's very
yes,
good.
exactly. So I
Yeah,
apologize. Just took check my note. That was the time he was
yeah,
talking. I think Sonak play a little bit what Lyndon does for Dallas.
I agree.
You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
between, we always hear about Edmund, McDonough, Sergachev, but really Cernak play a solid role over there. A little bit like we said, the third line, fourth line for any other team. Like Cernak have that play that role with under rating, under evaluate, I think, for many other players. So great performance of him. He's another big defenseman. I think he's
yeah,
6'3", 6'4". He could be
he's big.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I would believe this is it's an advantage for them. Now, if you
I,
go forward, um, forward, you know what I mean? Like you have to Tampa. Let's go with Tampa, where it's really between Kucherov first of all and 26 points, 25 points. One have 9 goals. Point was he have the most of goal with Edmund. That surprised me. You see a defenseman have the most of goal for one team, and then Kucherov have 6 goal. Um, then Palat have 8 goals for Tampa. That's really the first line. Point beside Palat, either between Palat
totally. Yeah,
and Kucherov. Um, so that's for me versus Jimmy Benn, Tyler Seguins, and Radulov. I think the first line from Tampa is really more solid, but a little bit more better.
it's hard for me to say because I think you're probably right. We don't see the same Tyler Seguin we used to see, so it's hard. It's confusing judging him. Jamie Benn, the way he played the last few games, like is as good as anybody. If he plays like that in the final, you've got a very big, strong, mean, dangerous player. Radulov is always like, he just got talent. And he's got something there, but I don't think he's as good as Kucherov.
I
So
don't think
I
so.
think you're probably right that they have more skill on their top line that can impact, but is anybody as mean as Jamie Benn on either team? Nobody.
No, not that strong forward, like like a strong power forward. I think
Totally.
nobody can be like in the same class like Jimmy
I
Ben. Well,
agree.
he played like Jimmy Ben, where he's
Right.
doing now. He has 18 points, 8 goals, 10 assists so far for him. Let's go by line. The second line
Yep.
for Tampa is Anthony Cirilli, Blake Coleman, and Alex Killorn. Sometimes Coleman play on the third line, but right now on the depth chart, that's
Yep.
Cirelli, Coleman, and Killorn. Versus Joe Pavelski, Denis
Yep.
Gurianov, and
Yep.
Matthias Mark.
Yep.
Um,
I gotta give this to Dallas. I mean, I think none of us realized Gurionov is some nights has been the best player on Dallas, or a lot of nights. So I don't think any of us understood how big and fast and skilled he is. Pavelski's on a mission. Pavelski will kill you with his relentless play, his smart decisions. I don't see Cirelli matching up against that. Cirelli's effective around the net and he's effective in the faceoff circle. But as far as impact goes, you see him in spurts, but Pavelski consistently will be a problem. Janmark, I don't think is. I feel like he's a placeholder on that line, but he's reliable defensively. But
yes,
I think the Pavelski factor and how good Gurianov is, you've got to give the benefit of the doubt to Dallas.
if you'll be surprised, like Tampa have that line versus the other line with points. Dallas have
Yeah,
31 point versus 24.
yeah, that's not. That's
You
I
know,
think Pavelski, we're going to see like he's on a mission and he's been on a mission all playoffs. And
yeah.
he's really been the guy leading this team. And even though it's the second line.
Then the third line, we have to go Yannick Gord, Tyler Johnson, and Barclay Goodrow versus um, Joel Kiviranta,
Yeah.
J.P. Hens, and Corey Perry. And then you have to be careful with the last. We want to be sure we are, the last 5 players because Tampa have Pat Maroon and Cedric Paquette at 11 forward
Yeah.
versus the full line on the depth chart right now is Cogliano, Dickinson, and play Como. We have two coach using many
4 lines.
different four line, three
Yeah.
lines, but they change. My point to you, they can change one player on the second line, third line, come back down. 2 days, 2 game ago, Korea and I was on the four line.
So here's where it gets interesting. So this will be based upon tempo, because if you look at the third line in Dallas, Rupe Hintz is 6'4". He's got offensive speed and skill. Corey Perry's a pain in the ass around the net. Kiviranta is shown to be more offensive than we realize. And you can see guys like Como and Dickinson flexing up, even Cogs, but really Cogliano's probably not going to flex up as much as the first two. Like Dickinson gets a lot of ice time on the third and second line,
Yes.
which you could see Janmark dropping down. Kiviranta, I think, is maybe a sleeper here. But to me, the matchup of Hins versus Gord is really interesting. Because
I,
if that's who you're lining up against, you got problems at center if you're Tampa.
I agree with you. I think they're a little bit more like third line, four line. The defensive side, the size of Dallas a little bit bigger,
But yeah,
little bit,
they're a big team.
little bit bigger, and also a little bit more mean um, versus to another side where honestly smaller player like your Gordy, Gord, Johnson, and Pocket versus other plays. I want to mention this to you about that one. I think overall for me, I have to go back again with Tampa. I think you have too much depth on points on the offensive side.
You think
Uh,
on the third line?
uh, combine all four lines.
All
Um,
four.
I think I would go more with offensive side of of Tampa. I'll be honest with you. Though,
Here, this is where I have a problem, because I think, we've been sleeping on how deep and good Dallas really is on their forward lines. And they're showing us that they are big, they also have speed, and they can score in a counterpunch type of way. They get offense from the defense consistently. Now, Tampa can do the same, but this is going to be a matchup of, is the smaller, faster forwards of Tampa going to cause any problems for the Dallas D? I don't think so. Are the big forwards on Dallas going to cause the big D on Tampa any problems? I don't know. I don't think so. I think, but where the matchup to me gets interesting is it's right down the middle, right? Like, are Pavelski, Hins, and Sagan going to outplay Gord, Point, and Sorelli? And I kind of think so. So you've got to say it evens out. Like, the difference between them. Overall, I feel like Tampa should win this, but this is where, it's going to be a lot closer than we think, I believe.
yeah, I can see that. I'm going to give you a couple of things, and then you can give me your impression now.
Okay.
The schedule of the playoff is over. Like you
Right.
know exactly when they play. You have a
Yep.
back-to-back game number four, game number five.
Yep.
So that's rare in hockey, like you know what I mean, like back to back. So they organize that part of there. That may be now the shifting of the momentum of the playoff right there. Because now if you come back with two goalies back to back, uh, could have been could have been struggle more with a
Back to back.
back to
Yeah.
back game versus Vasilevsky.
Yep.
Now I want to mention two things here also. Dallas not going to play with Radek Faksa.
That's a big loss.
All right, so that's modified the line of bonus, honestly,
Yeah.
because he have to figure out this. Now, Stankos is out for tonight,
But
but expect him to come back at some point. Could be next game, could be the third, fourth, but you're going to see Steven Stankos at some point during the playoff final Stanley Cup. Now, so that's a two element missing for both organizations. Now, I want to be. It's not want to be sure. I really believe this. I'm going to give you two names right there. Anthony Cirelli with only 6 points, and Tyler Seguins with only 8 points.
right,
For me, one of the two on each team, if they wake up,
you're in trouble. Yeah.
they're going to bring that team. If everybody play the level they're supposed to play, that would be the big change over there. Now you can tell me, yeah, but there are two players now don't play offensively,
They
but
don't
they
seem
play
to, right?
right. But I really believe at that finals like this, like you finish on the final strong. You have to finish strong. I believe you need more productivity of sequence and then a little bit more productivity. Now, Cerelli, great scored OT last game and everything
Yeah,
like that,
he's got to.
but again, they need more for the second because right now he compete with Pavelski. Pavelski is 14, 15 points versus one that have only 5, 6 points and play second line. So I think you need that part of it. I want to mention something. Nobody talk a lot about the stats. The third line from Tampa, Gord, good role, and usually it's Coleman there, right?
Yeah,
Because now
yeah.
Johnson's moving up
Johnson's
and
been,
down, everything like
yeah.
that, right? They did not give any goal against Islanders 5 versus 5.
I mean, again,
That's
the
pretty
Islanders are
amazing.
weird, right? Like the Islanders don't take chances, and those guys are pretty fast. So the Islanders are weird because they get by based upon being on the right side of the puck all the time. I don't know about Dallas. If Dallas will be on the right side of the puck, but then they'll also take chances, right? And they get to the net pretty aggressively. So it's going to be interesting. Is I just feel like that if that is the actual line, which I don't see Cooper sticking with those lines, I think he's going to figure out really quickly that he's got a problem down the middle versus Dallas. I think that that's the only, the wings aside, that's where he may have an issue. Like Gord's going to have trouble matching up. Cirelli will be fine in the faceoff circle in front of the net. Um, Point, I mean, Point's great, but what's weird about Sagan is this new style, right? Like I feel like he's been shutting guys down and we don't realize it. So if his mission is to take Braden Point out, he's going to do it. So
Yep.
that's what was really weird about it. Like we're waiting for him to break out offensively. The reason he's not is he's like taking out the other center of the equation.
Yep. To finish a little bit before we finish the show, and then we talk about your prediction for the finals and my prediction for the final.
Okay,
Team stats: power play, Dallas 27.3 versus 17.9.
27.3 on the power play,
27.3 for Dallas. Yes.
the whole playoff.
Yes.
Holy crap!
Yep. They
Is that
score a lot of goal in the power play against Colorado, honestly,
wow? That's
but
probably
they
why
have a
because
still have
that's like
performance.
unheard of. Like
Tampa have 17.9, but remember they have two game of 3 goal on the same. They have a two
oh,
game
five of
with three
yeah,
goal power play two times. So that's changed. They struggle a little bit more without Stankos and
yeah.
also without Point. Two games that's a little bit struggle, and then they change a little bit Sergachev out of the PP1 and bring Edmund on PP1. So, but that surprised me. Tampa has always been a great team with power play. So this should be a little bit higher, that number.
Yeah.
Usually they are more 22, 23. So we'll
That
see.
makes that's I don't think 27 is sustainable, and I don't think that to your point reflects.
Yep.
They're gonna drop down closer to 17 to 20. Tampa is weird because they were like 21 during the year, so that makes more sense that that's their average, which is still pretty good.
But
But Tampa, normally to your point during the season, was the second best power play at 23.
yep.
Um, it'll be interesting to see if Stamkos comes back, which Stamkos we get. Do we get a Stamkos that's recovering from ab surgery and isn't effective, or is he going to be an offensive impact and you're in trouble? Because he could really tip the balance for Tampa in a big way.
He's going to bring him a lot of power play. He's going to go to power
Yeah,
play. He's going to be on
not
that
five
side.
on five.
Yeah, you are less 5 and 5 plus in power play. On
I agree.
penalty kill, both teams are equal. 83.3 for Dallas, 83.6 for um, Tampa. Face off almost equal. 50 for Dallas and 48.4 for Tampa. Um, And then where we're going to see now the two different teams. Goal per game, goal for. You have 3.11 from Tampa versus 2.95 for Dallas. Then goal against, you have, there's a big difference between both teams. 2.21 from Tampa versus 3.05 from Dallas. So now you're going to tell me, yeah, but
The Colorado series was crazy, right?
yeah, so that's my point there. Um, Tampa play Columbus, Boston, Islanders. Two or three teams where they are not productivity offensive.
Yeah, they're very struggle. They struggle a lot. They're not dynamic offensively. They don't play transition, and then you got a monster in Hedman with McDonough, with Sergachev, who's much bigger than we realize, with
Yep.
Cernak, with you go down the line, Bogosian, like tough guys to play against. If anyone's going to do it, it's the big forwards on Dallas, but
And then
I
on the
don't know.
flip side, Dallas play again a lot of offensive side. Like Calgary score at least two goals with 5 goals per game. And then you have, the crazy Colorado series where it was 7, 5, 6, 7 goals per game. And then
Yeah.
finally they really structure more better against Vegas about that part of that. So it's a little bit two different teams, two teams different a little bit. But I want to, I just want to know now your prediction and what you're thinking. What's your big prediction for the final Stanley Cup, the winner of the 2020 NHL?
So, Dallas has been a surprise to all of us. I think that Kudobin will have a much harder time against Tampa. I think the depth of Tampa's D will eventually pan out and take away a lot more opportunity from Dallas than we've seen. I do think that there's a advantage down the middle for Dallas. However, I'm not sure that evens things out. I gotta think that Tampa solves Kudobin. I think that Dallas won't go quietly. But I really think this is a 6-game series. It's probably 4-2 for Tampa.
All right. So, first of all, you have the same prediction like me. 4-2 Tampa. All right. I first of all, I predict at the beginning my bracket NHL is Tampa
Yep.
this year. So I cannot go here and say now it's going to be Dallas. But
No,
I'll be honest with you, why I said Tampa is when I go a little bit deeper with the stat and I check today more, Dallas gave an average about 35 to 43 shot per game.
that's gonna kill you against Tampa.
And that's why I believe that's where the series is going to play there, and because Tampa offensively they
Sure.
don't miss a lot of net, right? If you can see the game where they miss only one net, so they're
Yep.
block shot or they are on the net. That's what they are, Tampa.
But
So if you have a
it's
team
easy
like
to
Tampa
block.
regularly gave 40, 43, 45 shots per game, they're going to find a way to score 3, 4 goals, 5 goals.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I
I
think
think that
that
the quality
that
of the shots is
area,
also. I think there's a big difference in the quality of the shots that they will get versus the Islanders got versus Boston. Um, I think that they move the puck a lot better and they have speed. So I agree with you. I tend to think that if you're gonna give up 35 shots, you're dead against Tampa.
I think so too. So that would be on that side. Now on the flip side, how Dallas can win. I look about different things. First of all, do you have to be sure Kodobin played exactly like he did against Vegas? That's he cannot be low at that one. He have to keep that 93, 94, 95
For sure.
all year, all playoff. They're not going to win that playoff without lower at point 93. For
Right. I
me,
agree.
it's not there at all.
Yep.
Then you have to be sure the top 6 player have to produce more what they did. So I want to be sure Seguin produce more, Rezdorov produce more on that side. Now, Dallas at Tampa never played. You go tell me, yeah, Columbus, they are big, everything like that, but they never have. And then you
No.
can tell me Islanders, but the defensive fight at the top four D, they never face like what they have Dallas. Because if you go Columbus, it's Wawrinski, it's really Seth Jones. Two guys play 30 minutes per
Well,
game most
plus
of the time,
Savard.
right?
Savard, yeah, but yeah, you're right.
So they have two really solid more compare. Then you can go with, Boston. Then after that, you can go with Islanders, where collectively they are good, but not the same level like Eskinen carry on the puck. Because who carry on the puck from Islanders?
Nobody.
Nobody. Nobody does what Eskinen does. Nobody
Nobody
can
does,
do
yeah.
what Kleinberg do, right,
Yep.
does. So, and then you have the two big guy defensive like Lendl and this thing. So that's really the first time Tampa is going to be faced two problem. Big D, carry on puck, fight the D, exactly what the Tampa does. And then you're going to have also um, the physicality of the Dallas can bring
That's
on the table.
they're just so much bigger. They've got speed, and because they got speed, they are able to like check. Like it's really hard to check the other team if you don't have pucks moving forward and speed. And that's where they're going to create problems. However, Tampa's D are big and they can all skate. Aside from Luke Shen.
Yes, of course, but we already know what Tampa do, right? So, big, but
Yeah,
my point is like they never face a team like Dallas this
for
way,
sure.
so I'll be a little bit surprised to maybe surprised there. That said, at the end of the day, I think Tampa is going to get there, but I want to remember,
How do you win if you're Dallas?
yeah, and then I want to remember where we're going to hit game number four and game number five. That's really where one I want to see. Is it a 3-0 playoff? Is it a 2-1 playoff? Right now,
Yeah,
game number four, is it become a 2-2 or a 3-1? Because the game number five, that's when they're going to shift everything at that moment because it's a back to back. So if Dallas is back 2-1 or 3-1 at that moment, they're going to have a difficult time to come back after that because the game number five, a back to back night, I
they.
think that.
I think they have to win game one to have a chance. If they don't, they could be down. I think they have to get ahead early because I think if this goes to 2-2, then they lose. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that long term the goaltending and D are going to win out
But again, I think they have to be 2-2 to face to game number five.
for
They
sure.
cannot be there
They
at
can't be
3-1
behind.
because
They
they will
cannot be
be too hard
behind.
for them. So
Yeah,
it's a good point there. I think they need to be 2-2 on that moment, and
yeah,
then after that, see what happening about that. So
yeah. They're not coming back.
Hockey Nation fans, now you know exactly what Michael's looking. You know exactly what we predict. Now we are both together. We did not talk earlier together. We did not
No,
mention who it was, how many game, every time that it was
you know what
my
that
first.
means? We're going to be both wrong.
We're going to be wrong because 99 points. You have to remember the only game me and you, and it was only you. You did Dallas win the
Oh,
last
the
game,
last one. Yeah.
and we did not do any dollars all the time since the beginning of
No,
the playoff.
yeah. I don't want to underestimate them. I think you had an interesting thought idea, which is if I'm coaching Dallas, how do I get this team to win? And I think you have to use that size, and you've got to limit the east-west puck movement, and you've got to punish. You have to absolutely punish those small forwards on Tampa. And then if Stamkos comes back and Kucherov's not that big a guy, you got to make sure that they don't have no space. And if you do that, you got a chance because you're going to have a much harder time offensively. These have to be close games, I think, for Dallas to win. I don't think they're going to blow out Tampa. Vasilevsky's too good. The D's too good.
I agree with you. I think again, maybe I didn't mention this. Maybe if you want a little bit more from Dallas, they need a little bit more support offensive for the third, fourth line. We see
Well,
it's very Renta can do something
Keith
special,
Jonathan, yeah.
right?
But you know what? Actually, you made me think about something, which is the other thing. If I'm Dallas, is I constantly activate my D offensively. I constantly carry the puck I'm constantly keeping pucks moving forward. I transition quickly, and from the offensive blue line in, I'm getting an extra defenseman to the net.
I agree
I'm
with
putting
you.
four guys low and outnumbering them, and I'll
I
take the
agree with
risk
you
on
about that
transition.
one.
It might
Where
burn you, but
Allenberg could not do that, right?
right,
And there was
absolutely
more
not.
play five together, like more play on the heel, wait, opportunity, and then go back
Abs-
with two forward, three
Yep.
one, 3-2. But with Dallas, Eskinen, by the
Go. You
way,
got the
if you're
green
gonna
light, buddy.
follow a lot of Dallas, you're going to see a star, a top best defenseman in
Oh,
NHL, Miro Eskinen. I know many people maybe not follow all the time Dallas because on the West Coast and on the
so
West
good.
Conference, but you're going to see a young, great defenseman,
He's
amazing.
a one. They're comparing him, I think, favorably to Scott Niedermayer, which you've
Yep,
done,
yep.
and Paul, other guys have said, excuse me, have said Paul Coffey because of the, it's like he doesn't need to deke. He's so fast that he can take a couple strides, and he's got forwards. He's gone beat them, and he's beaten defensemen.
His
So
fluid skating is fluid.
fluid,
Coffee
effortless,
was
like
all by his
so
fluidity of his
good.
stride. So we're going to see about that one over there. Um, I don't know what's your schedule, or maybe come back tonight after the game.
Okay.
Tomorrow, unfortunately, I'll be out. If we are
Yep.
back live tomorrow, it's going to be maybe late Sunday night. If not, we are back Monday, 11 Eastern time, and
Okay.
then we'll be about that one over there. So
Yep. Just ping me, guys. I'm excited. The Stanley Cup Finals starting. It's gonna be interesting.
it's going to be fun to watch. 7:30, so the puck's going to drop in the next 30 minutes. And hockey fans, Hockey Nation fans, enjoy your final Stanley Cup because after that, maybe a couple of months with no hockey, but we're going to focus more on the draft and also what the
Free
team needs,
agents.
everything like that. We
Yep.
don't go too much down jump on the news. The only thing I would say to you, they have two players sign up a new contract. One from Pittsburgh, Jared McCann,
That
got
was a
a
good
2 years
one.
contract, 2.94 million for. They almost gave him $3 million. He had a good season last season, by the way. 14 goals,
He
21
yeah.
assists.
Has he not had like 30 goals between the 2 years?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. He was with Panthers. He came on the trade with Nick Pistad, and
Yeah. But like didn't he have 19 goals that first year or was it 15?
it's possible.
Let's look. Hold on. Because I think he hit Pittsburgh and suddenly he was because he had 19 goals between Florida and Pittsburgh the first year. And then he had 14 goals in 66 games. So, and since coming to Pittsburgh and just under 100 games, 25 goals. So he's showing he's got more offense. He's a big two-way centerman. He's 24. I've always liked him. I think that's a pretty good deal if he's like kind of a second or third line center. It depends, what game because they're going to flex Malkin up and down, right? And he surprised me though, and he can play left wing.
You know what? I have to tell you something. I'm really impressed by your by this comment because I really believe we don't give too much credit because you talk about Malkin and Crosby and
Yep.
they expect more from Nick Gustav uh,
Yeah.
to bring more and a big
Yep.
guy 6'3", 6'4", Nick and but Jared like you said 90 goal 3 years ago, right? 19 goal,
Two.
two back to back, and then this year 14 goal, and
Yep.
without the full season. So you get a guy between 16,
To
20
20
goals
goals
right there,
for
35 to
two
40 points per year. You know
under
what I mean?
3 mil.
He's not small. He's 6'1".
Yeah, I think he might like I don't know, when you watch him, he looks maybe a little bigger than that, but he he impressed me when he came over. I was kind of surprised that they traded him, to be honest with you.
It's a good trade. It's a good sign. I think at $3 million third
I
line,
agree.
you cannot get a lot of players at that amount. Usually, I can go 4 or 5 million sometime. Honestly, it's a great trade for good
Exactly. Guys
sign
are
for
getting
them.
5 million on that.
And the last one, I'm not sure I need to tell you, it was Daniel Spong for Washington, signed only a 1 year contract. NHL, 2 years contract. I'm sorry for 725 per year.
Is that Sprung, the guy that was in Pittsburgh?
Yep,
He's like
yep,
Dutch
yep,
or something.
yep, yep.
Here's a weird case because he played in the Quebec Major Junior League. He came in and he looked like he made the team as an 18 or a 19-year-old, which kind of surprised everybody. But then, they sent him to the minors last year. And I think because he had like 14 goals in a short stint. And then this year he didn't make the team. So it's really weird. There's some word that he maybe has some attitude problem, but talent-wise, he's a good player. So it's going to be interesting. He's going to a really talented team where they may not care about his attitude.
Yeah, it's a one-way contract, by the way, and also
Wow.
he got traded in February to Washington by the with Anaheim. He came from Anaheim Ducks from defenseman Christian Toles,
Ah, you know,
GGOS. Um,
that which is another weird thing for me. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Anaheim situation. Like, the coach is like had a history, in my opinion. He's a weird communicator. You again, um, 14 goals in 47 games for Anaheim. And then the next year, you stick that guy in the minors.
yep,
Like he played 8 games, and it's not like he didn't score in San Diego. He did score in San Diego, 11 goals in 39 games. So it's probably an under the radar move, low risk for Washington to sign the one-way contract. He can play in the NHL. He's got talent.
I agree. Um, it's another franchise where they have to turn around. I think they, what I mean, a couple of trade we are shake my head sometimes because I don't get it. Let Sean Theodore on the on the list for Seattle. I think it was,
Anaheim,
what I
and
mean.
then Vatanen, like they moved him maybe prematurely, and although I shouldn't say that, Henrique has been very good, so that actually was a very good trade.
But again, if
Uh,
you think about him, you think about Montour, you think about Vetanen.
well, Montour is weird because they got Gould, right? So Brendan Gould he's young, but he's very good. He played in the WHL, and his brother is coming up and is going to be a pretty damn good defenseman. So I think that if he's healthy, because I don't know if he had an ab injury, it was something weird like that. But that trade, just my only point is, might pan out a little bit better than we think, and I think it depends on that coach. But the Theodore one was a painful one. But they're not the only team that's made. They had a lot of depth on D at that time.
And then
Um,
finales with the UFA, we have heard like the negotiation not very good with Blues now and Peter
oh, it's
Angelo.
done.
We He's
It's
looking to
over.
let it go. That
Yeah,
surprised
remember I
me
was saying to
there.
you, like, if
Um,
it's insulting for someone to offer Peter Angelo the same money as Jared Spurgeon.
yeah,
Like, and if he's saying I want 10 and you're St. Louis, you move Colton Parenko and you sign Peter Angelo for 10 because he is by far your best player. Like, not just defenseman, your best player. And they got Ryan O'Reilly. So I say that like with, all honesty. I keep saying if he's added to any of these other teams, like if a Vancouver takes a run at him, even if the Rangers, like imagine the Rangers grab Peter Angelo. I mean, they've got really
he's
good
going
young
to
forwards.
Winnipeg.
Suddenly throw this guy on your D, like holy crap.
He's going to Winnipeg.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think Toronto's really going to be in this mix.
Toronto cannot have him.
They could. That guy's like mad enough that he would do it. If he would move out salary to do it.
To do move who? They have to move without to get him. They have to move Anderson,
Yeah.
Nylanders,
Yeah.
Kerfoot, and they have to.
Kerfoot's
And
done.
then Hons, is it Owenson or Jones? Johnson or Johansson?
Andreas Johansson is 3 million. They would dump Johansson. Kerfoot's not coming back anyway. They're
Senator.
gonna go. Their D though is weird because they lose the contract from CC. The Muzzin contract's very reliable. The Riley contract's it's very favorable.
Use Tyson Barry.
They would lose. They're going to lose. That salary is coming off the books for Barry. So they do. If you look at the money, it's technically there, and they look at Rasmussen and Liljegren as probably being pretty close, and they had a very favorable contract with Hall. So if they move out anyone, I could see them saying we're not going to re-sign Dermott to a big contract like you think he deserves. We would put in Pietrangelo because he's buddies with Tavares. And Tavares might say to come home, I would take 9. I won't stay in St. Louis for 9. They know how good I am and they should keep me because I've been taking 6.5 for a long time. I could see him going for 2 years or 3 years to Toronto for 9.
He's going to have a lot of cows in NHL when he's
Oh
over
my God,
because
everyone wants that guy. Everybody would want that guy.
you have a lot is going to a lot of buyout is going happening. A lot of trade where you're going to have a bad contract with a rookie or a pick there versus Montreal did the same thing with remember Steve Mason
Yep,
came Montreal with Joel Armia.
yep.
Get Mason money, they had to bring Joel Armia. After that, they released Mason after that. So he's going to have a lot of contract like this, I believe, for the next couple of weeks because
Toronto is a terrible. And the other thing you might see is you might see a Nylander go.
another player we said to you, I heard today Buffalo one trade Ristolainen, they would
Yeah,
keep him. So that's another one I got. Tony Crook. I believe St. Louis is going to go around Tony Crook.
maybe, maybe. I don't know why you would, because you think Krug will be cheaper than Pietrangelo.
Yes.
Yeah, which would make sense. I would still obviously not. I would still sign Pietrangelo if I'm St. Louis, but you might be right. I could see this may sound strange, but I could see.
Remember, a lot of defense. They don't have a lot of defensemen on
Yeah,
the UFA this year. It's
right.
really low. You have a
Yeah,
three or four, two great Petrangelo and Tony Crook. That's
yeah.
it.
And there's a big gap between Tony Krug and Pietrangelo, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So to your point, you might get Krug for 7 or 8, whereas you'd have to pay 9 or 10 for Pietrangelo, and that might be okay for St. Louis. They're not gonna win a cup, and maybe they think they won't win a cup anyway. I think it would be a huge loss in the dressing room. And I love Ryan O'Reilly, but I don't think you make Ryan the captain of your team just because he already puts a ton of pressure on himself. And sometimes that works against him. I think he's a better A than a C in that scenario. And especially if you don't have that anchor back there, that just screws up that whole team. Like, I don't know. But I think you're right. Both those guys are gonna get lots of people making offers. Like,
the last rumor from Pierre LeBrun was maybe not looking or chasing Matt
Dumba?
Dumba
Yeah.
and looking more for Stevenson for New Jersey.
Stevenson?
Is it Stevenson or Steven? The young kid defenseman over there. I just delete the name. Oh my god. Um,
Severson.
yes,
Damon Severson.
yes.
Oh man. I
I'm not.
mean,
I'm not sure David would do that, but I'm just
here,
talking
here's my
about.
problem with here's my problem with Damon Severson is he can skate this way and he can shoot the puck. His lateral skating to me is really suspect, and I think he gets beat a lot because of that. So his transition skating, I think, is a problem. He's a big guy and he can shoot the puck. Um, I mean, for me, obviously, are they? But they're not similar contracts, are they? Because I
No, I
think
know, $3 million.
Severson's like way cheaper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because Dumba's like 6 mil.
yeah.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
was
it's
the
interesting.
reason why he was mentioned this. So it was
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
don't give too much to Minnesota, but maybe better to negotiate with New Jersey Devils. So again, it's just a rumor. We
Minnesota's
don't
star
bring
player
this like he's on the market, he's on trade block. It's just like compare if you're looking for a lot of discussion, a lot of rumors going to get more and more for the next. And believe me, we are about 3 weeks from the draft.
So this I don't know if they'll do this, but to me, if I'm Detroit, I look very seriously at a couple of moves. One of them is if Besser is really truly available, and they're thinking they need to move salary out to keep or to go after someone like a Peter Angelo or a Krug, because they may say, hey, we want. They're not going to do Krug, but they might go Peter Angelo just because. But even if not, they may just need to move Besser anyway. Why would a Detroit not be taking advantage of a lot of salary cap? So then they can buy out guys like Locator and Nielsen and help and have even more cash. They don't care about money. They care about cap room, right? So I can see them saying,
I don't
make a
want to stop you, but your volume is like
oh,
Here you go. You got it.
Is it bad? Sorry. I don't know. It would be interesting to see them go after a Dumba and a Besser.
Yeah, would be very interesting. Like you said, we're going to go back next week, Monday. We're going to start on the draft mock on the 1 to 15 maybe, and then go from 16 to 31 after that. Whatever, we don't know if Islanders or Tampa or Dallas is going to be 30, 31 for sure, but we're going to see. You know what I mean?
Who cares?
At that moment, it's not a big deal. So thank you, thank you everybody to be around.
Thanks. Enjoy the
We
game
did a
tonight.
great show. We thought to be here this morning, but my schedule weekend with coaching, everything like weekend a little bit harder like it was before. But we try to be here every day. Again, just to resume the week, the show. Michael's going with Tampa, and myself we're going to Tampa. Both with the same prediction of the game, where it's a little bit we go with 6 game on that series, and we predict Tampa Lightning is going to be the new Stanley Cup champion. By the way, we did not talk about
Oh,
this, but remember Rick Bonus was assistant coach to John Cooper.
oh
They
yeah. I was
worked
gonna say
together
he was on that.
a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. They have a great article about Rick Bonus about how the players from Boston Bruins appreciate Bonus, the humility, the human being person, where he care
Yeah.
about the players. Every time that we heard a lot of comments about him, you know. So it was very nice to hear about that. So anything
Can't
before
mention.
we close?
Yeah. One other thing I think that the X factors for me that could screw things up: Joe Pavelski and Corey Perry. I don't think you're going to see an offensive awakening from Perry, but he's going to be a pain in the ass. Pavelski could really kill them. The other thing that's the X factor on the Tampa side, though, to me, is they lost as a young team in 2015. They had a long playoff run. I think it was 2018 or 17. I can't remember which year it was now. And they were very, very close. I think they get it done this time. They've learned from experience. They've taken their legs.
I believe last year, me, I said Columbus going to win. Like when they lost against Columbus, I predict they're going to
Yep,
win this year because you always said you always learn the year prior to lose, to learn to lose, to go after that to win. Many teams in NHL did it back to back, like they lose and then they come back win the
yep,
Stanley Cup. You start with Montreal, you start with Oilers, start with Islanders. You can go all the way to 80s to go 90s, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Detroit, you can go like this. Chicago, before they win 10 and
Yep.
13, whatever it is. So, thank you so much, Mike. Again, take your time. A Saturday night, Aki Nation fan, thank you to be with us. The puck's going to drop in the next 10 minutes. Good luck, both teams. Don't miss the first 10 minutes. I'm excited to see the first 10
Me
minutes,
too.
first period, how it's going to be physical, make a tempo, switch the momentum. So enjoy your game number one, Stanley Cup between Dallas and Tampa. Mike, have a great night. I'll maybe see you after the game or tomorrow night. Have a great guys. Great night.